Hi there, my name is Carola and I'm taking 1 year to bike around Europe. Right now you can see me in the Netherlands. I literally just crossed the border from Germany to the Netherlands. I've already been in Sweden and Denmark, and I know you haven't watched those videos yet. I promise they're coming out soon. The next video I will be crossing from Germany to Sweden on a ferry and then biking there. And I am doing this because I'm trying to meet as many Christians from as many different backgrounds as possible, to just contribute something to take on that identity as one family more. Even though we might not agree on everything, I know that we can sit down, listen to each other, and feel as one even though we might not agree on everything, and that's okay, at least in my opinion. But I do think in order to feel as one, we have to know who's part of that family. And I can only talk about myself. Before I started this journey, I did not know what like the Methodist church denomination was. I had no idea. And I'm giving you this example because I now have visited them in Denmark, in Aarhus. It's coming out soon, the video, and it was so good. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. And in this video, I want to answer two questions that I get asked a lot, and I feel like people are very interested in. So I thought, you know what, why don't I sit down while I'm biking and just reply to these questions. So the first question that I get asked every time, and sometimes people tiptoe around it because it's weird to talk about money, I think, for a lot of people. But yeah, I get asked, how do I finance this? I'm biking for 1 year. I'm filming, I'm publishing videos every week. But I'm obviously not making money, at least at this point, while I'm traveling for this year. So, well, there are two parts to this reply. First, I have been working for 4 years. I did a bachelor's in science of media. You would translate it directly. I'm German, and I studied in Germany. And I worked in social media marketing and advertisement for 4 years, and I just saved some money while I was doing that because for that full time I knew that I wanted to do something like this. I didn't know exactly what it would be, but I knew that I was supposed to save up for something. Okay, so the second part of how I'm financing this is that I have a sponsorship with Kalkoff Bikes, a e-bike company that I still am so excited that they did this because, you know, I started this journey and I had nothing to show. I just had an idea. I pitched it to them and I was like, you know, I'm going to start a new account. I'm going to start at 0 followers. But I hope that you believe in this idea and you want to support my journey. And so they agreed to give me their awesome bike. It's an Endeavor 7B Plus. It's a really cool bike, and it would have cost me a lot of money. You can look it up if you want to. I'm not going to talk about it, but it would have been very expensive for me to buy it for this year. So that's another part, how I'm able to finance this year. Their slogan is Kalkoff moves you everywhere, and they literally are. They're moving me to the Netherlands right now. And then also a very big part of how I'm financing is, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without the support of my family. That's a very big part of this. And I know that I am in a very privileged position, and, you know, I don't take that lightly. But yeah, that's the reply how I am financing this full year, and it's a very tight budget. But, you know, pasta and pesto and Aldi are my best friend on this journey. And then also, I almost forgot this, but you know, a lot of times churches have guest houses that they let me stay in, and sometimes I get connected to a friend of a friend who's just kind enough to open their house to a stranger. So that's also like a big relief, because the most expensive part for me on this journey is to pay for hostels and Airbnbs. So yeah, if you're watching this and you live in the Netherlands and you want to help me out, let me know. All right. So then the other thing that I want to talk about, that I feel like, I published a video. The first video on my channel is kind of a trailer for this project where I talk about why I'm biking around for 1 year, but I don't go into that much detail. So I want to give you a little bit more of my story and why this is something that's on my heart that I want to do. So to go all the way back, but I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. I moved around quite a bit with my family when I was growing up. When I was 2 months old, we moved to the United States as a family. And yeah, we lived there for 3 years. So obviously I don't have that many memories from that time. But we also lived in the Netherlands, the place where I am right now. Not exactly here, but from 2nd grade until 5th grade. And I went to the United States when I was 16 for 1 year during high school. Shout out to Colorado. And I also went back after my bachelor's for a couple of months. And I also moved around in Germany, and I switched schools even in my hometown, Frankfurt, where I'm from. So what I'm getting at is that I am very used to being new to places, to not knowing people, that's something that's been literally since I was born, since I was 2 months old. That's been a big part of my life, to move and to be in new places. And I actually always really enjoyed that. Whenever I moved, I was really excited about it, but it's also really hard to be new, to not know people and places, and especially after I was an adult and I moved and I was just moving by myself and I didn't have my family. You don't know anybody. I think everybody can relate to that, even if you haven't moved. You can relate to the feeling of being left out, even if it's just that one birthday party where you were at as a kid, or if you were fighting with your friends and there was that one day when you weren't talking. And I think everybody can relate to feeling like an outsider every once in a while, and I think that's quite important in life to feel that, so you can relate to other people who feel like that too. And I always made friends. I really appreciate that was a part of my life. But a big part of what makes me feel home when I come to a new place is finding a church. And there's always that level of familiarity that I find when I meet Christians most of the time, that I really appreciate it. And I think that's something that we can really build on and that we can use more as a community. So that's a little bit about me. And because I moved around so much, I was in different churches, different denominations. When I was living in Germany, all of my friends in school wanted to do a confirmation. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up because it's too long to explain now, but it's part of the state church, and if you don't know what that is, I did a video about that in Germany. So that's like a very different group, Christian group again. And I had friends who were going to Catholic churches and very active there. And whenever I came to a new group, I felt like there was always a little bit of judgment within that group when towards other groups. And I'm trying to think of how to say this without bashing anybody, because that's not what I'm trying to do. But I do think there is a little bit of judgment within the Christian community, and I think that comes from just not really knowing what those groups are doing and maybe disagreeing on some topics that are important to you. And I can't take myself out of that equation. I have had those thoughts as well. I think it's human nature to, if you don't know something, to at first be a little bit critical of it. So yeah, that's what I've experienced growing up, and I've always been a little bit confused by it because I was like, well, we're in church. Like, why is this last church that I was a part of kind of looked down upon in this group where I'm at right now? And yeah, I feel like I'm making it sound like too bad. It wasn't like in an extreme way, but every once in a while something like that would come through. And I have tried to put a lot of time into like projects and like stuff where I can connect with people from different churches even before this trip. And I always felt like those projects just like started such amazing new things, like relationships between churches, relationships between just Christians, and sometimes new projects and events that happened out of that were so cool. So I feel like whenever Christians come together, no matter what their backgrounds is, and they like start to grow in that identity as a family and just become more aware of that, I feel like there's some like strength in that just like sets something, an energy off. I hope that doesn't sound too crazy to you, but I feel like you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's something that has always been really strongly on my heart. And I did an internship at an NGO called Open Doors. They work with persecuted Christians, and they kind of nudged me into the direction of working in social media marketing. So I worked in social media marketing and advertisement for 4 years, and I was always doing that with the goal of gathering skills to then later start a project like this. I wasn't sure exactly what it would be, but I knew that I wanted to do something that would connect Christians internationally, but also internally within like different groups of Christianity, because I think like some denominations are very well connected internationally, but maybe not to different denominations. Yeah, so that's why I started this, and like over the years this idea just took on different shapes, and at some point, that's a long story, but I just felt like a strong calling that I was supposed to do it like this. And well, I think one more reply to one question that I get a lot is, why am I biking? Because I really, like, if I tell you I'm not a biker, or I didn't used to be a biker, like, I really am not exaggerating. And I really am not, like, an athletic person as well. I think when people watch my videos and they maybe have never met me, you get this impression that I'm, like, this super athletic, like, motivated person who, like, goes out there and is always, hiking and doing stuff like that. That's so not me. And anybody who knows me at least a little bit would tell you the same thing. So I had a lot of like raised eyebrows when I told people that I wanted to do this, but I wanted to take 1 year to give this a real chance to like travel and meet people constantly. And I knew I would only be able to do that if I would do it for like at least 1 year to give it a real chance, and to just keep traveling and not go home and then go somewhere and come back home. So I just thought about like, how can I travel for 1 year? How can I finance this? That was a big part of it. But also, what do I enjoy? And I actually don't enjoy driving that much, which is a bad thing to say as a German, which is why I'm whispering. But I think I like being in the passenger seat, and it depends on what I'm driving and where I'm driving. But I, like, during COVID, my mom got an e-bike, and I was able to borrow it. At the time I was living in Munich. During COVID, I came back home because I was able to work from home, and I just really enjoyed in that time where everything was kind of like slowed down. And I'm not trying to romanticize that time. I know like many people suffered a lot, and I did too. I think you know what I'm saying. But in that time where everything was slowed down, I just kind of discovered biking for me, e-biking specifically. And it gave me so much peace in a time that was so crazy to just go out into nature and, take that time just to calm down and talk to God and be in nature. And I just really, really enjoyed that. So that idea just kind of merged with yeah. It's a longer story of how I actually, then decided all of that. But I don't want to make this video too long, but yeah, that's the reason why I'm biking, because I enjoy that. Even though I wanted to train before I started this journey, but it was such an incredible, stressful and busy time before I started biking. So I think I probably hadn't worked out in, I'm not exaggerating, in 2 years maybe. Maybe I would go for a hike when I was on vacation with my family, or I would play tennis with a friend, but that doesn't really count for me. I really wasn't working out on a regular basis, and I really didn't want to either. But especially the e-bike made it possible for me to be okay, I think this makes it realistic. I did a practice tour for 1 year, and I could tell, I think this is doable for me. And yeah, that's why I'm biking. And it's not, when it's raining and windy, it can be a little bit hard, but it's also fun. Oh, I can see someone. Hello. And yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you've made it this far, please just wait for another 30 seconds to let me finish, and say that, I have never asked anybody for money, but the way that you can really support me if you also believe in what I'm doing in this project is just by leaving a comment, even if it's just an emoji or something like that, and liking this video, and most of all, subscribing. You can do that down below. And sharing it with people that you believe would be interested. If you can go on my Instagram, which is called Rooted as One Official, and I pinned one of the reels where I kind of explain what I'm doing. If you just share that in a story, it honestly means the world to me. I see everybody who does it, and it really, really means so much to me. So those are the ways, if you watch this video and oh, that's a cool idea, how you can support me just by helping me grow this channel and helping me spread this message. So yeah, I publish videos every Thursday, and you will find a video on this channel next Thursday where I am crossing from Germany to Sweden on a ferry, and then I'm biking around Sweden. And I'm visiting a church, so I hope you will come back to watch that video. And you can also go back and watch some other videos that I published. So, okay, I'll wrap it up here, and I'll see you next Thursday.